What's interesting is that sometimes we get people who come and only want to do those non-harvest kind of courses, and halfway through the workshop they might be sitting down at dinner on Saturday night around a table with a bunch of women who are out at the shotgun range, and they're talking about what gauge of shotgun they shot and how many clays they hit, or somebody comes in and has a photo of the walleye that they caught, and the person who thought maybe they were only there for wildflower identification and birding says, wow, look at these other women who are like me, and they're trying these things that I never thought I'd like to do. I'm curious now.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing and the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, Angie Scott and Barb Carey.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer. What a cool episode we have in store for you today. If you're a regular listener of this show, you've definitely heard us talk about the Becoming an Outdoors Woman program. Well, today we have the director from where it all began, Peggy Farrell from the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. How cool is that? This is an amazing program that has helped introduce thousands of women from all around the country to basic outdoor skills in hunting, fishing, and so much more. That's something I think we can and should stand behind and support, so please take a listen to Barb Carey's in-person chat with Peggy on location and find out exactly how you can get involved and make an impact no matter your skill level and where you're located. In other news, I'm happy to announce we can now say The Woman Angler and Adventurer is an award-winning podcast. As we mentioned in the year-end recap episode a couple of weeks ago, we knew we were going to be getting some sort of award from the Tennessee Outdoor Writers Association, but we didn't know what. As it turns out, we won first place in the radio category. That was for the Rippin' Hoppers Adventure episode, the Two Fly Girls Road Trip, which you can find by going to thewomanangler.com/16. And that's not all. We also won third place for the episode Barb did live at the annual Wisconsin Women Fish Camp this past fall. So many of you who listen to the show participated in that Fish Camp episode, which made it so incredibly special. I know a lot of you are also subscribers to Jen Ripple's Done magazine and followers of Heather Hodson's United Women on the Fly. Jen Ripple's a huge supporter of our show, sending me guest ideas and so much more, and we're very thankful for that. We're looking forward to and hopefully meeting with Jen and Heather again as they embark on their next big adventure, chasing redfish on the Gulf. Maybe we can time all that out with Barb's road trip to Nashville that is in the works. We're planning something pretty big around that, so stay tuned. Hopefully you're subscribed to the show on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to our mailing list via thewomanangler.com. That way you're not going to miss a thing, nor will you get spammed. Trust me, I know how it is to subscribe to something you're passionate about and then get flooded with useless and or way too many emails. I promise you that we don't do that. If anything, the experts probably say we don't send out enough emails, but what do they know anyways, right? All right, well, let's get into this week's episode, Barb's chat with Peggy from Becoming an Outdoors Woman. You're really going to enjoy this, and stay tuned for next week's episode if you love toothy fish like I do, or just want to know more about chasing the almighty muskie and get inspiration from another amazing female angler. Be sure and not miss the episode next week as well. All right, here we go.
Welcome to another episode of The Woman Angler and Adventure. And boy, am I excited about the show this week. I am actually at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. And if you hear that little whining, that of course is Stella interrupting the show as usual. But I'm here because this is the home of Becoming an Outdoor Woman, and everyone's probably heard of that program. It's been around for a number of years, and I happen to be a friend of the director, Peggy Farrell, and I asked if she would talk to me today. Peggy, thank you so much for inviting me over.
Well, thank you. This is just a pleasure. We haven't had a chance to visit in a really long time, so I'm glad you came.
Well, I first met Peggy years ago when I was an instructor for the Becoming an Outdoor Woman program, and being part of that program, I got to tell you, Peggy, really inspired me and really kind of got me started in what I'm doing now. And I really have you and Becoming an Outdoor Woman to thank for the whole Wisconsin Women Fish idea and planning these women's trips. So I got to thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure to see that all took off. I remember you called me and said, so I'm really good at fishing. I have all this knowledge. I really think it would be a waste if I couldn't share it. Can I help you? And I was just so thrilled because we had then this lovely female role model to teach people how to fish. But then you went and got big and you can't help us out anymore.
Well, there is, what I've learned about the Becoming an Outdoor Woman, and I'm not an expert by any means, but it's a place for women to go and try stuff. And I just wanted to be able to be a resource for them to take that one step further. And so tell me about, first of all, how this whole program got started. I know it's worldwide now, and I'm just so proud that the whole thing started in Stevens Point, Wisconsin.
Yeah, so it grew out of a conference that was held here in 1990 called Breaking Down the Barriers to Participation of Women in Angling and Hunting, because we noticed that there were fewer women participating in what's traditionally male-dominated activities like hunting and fishing, and so why was that? And the conference participants brainstormed barriers to women's participation. And there were a lot of them, but most of them kind of somehow looped back around to no place to learn, lack of educational opportunities. And so then the strategy was, if people don't have a place to go to learn, how about if we give them one and we find out if that helps remove the barriers? So the first Becoming an Outdoors Woman workshop anywhere was held at Tree Haven Field Station, which is a field station run by the College of Natural Resources near Tomahawk, and over 100 women attended. So we found out it was a if you build it, they will come situation. And from there, other natural resource agencies throughout the country said, hey, we heard you're doing these cool women's programs. How can we do that? So Christine Thomas, who is the founder of the program, and a few people who were in early on helping to create the program, traveled around the country, trained people, showed them what we were doing, and now we're in 38 states and 6 Canadian provinces. And this year, Hawaii will hold their first ever bow workshop. So if you need a tropical vacation, excuse me, you can become an outdoors woman in Hawaii.
Wow. That's fantastic. And to see, since 1990, you see the growth that it's had is just phenomenal. You must, and were you a part of this from the very beginning?
Nope, not the very beginning. I started in 1995. I was actually a non-traditional student here in the college at the time, and I knocked on the right door. I said, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't really know what direction I want to take. And Christine, the founder of the bow program, said, well, you can come work for me. You can do some writing. I'm too busy. I need a magazine article done in 2 weeks. And so I did that. I went to my first bow workshop on a media scholarship, and I wrote an article for Wisconsin Natural Resources magazine, which is the DNR publication. And things just grew from there. I was in the right place at the right time. So now I get to be the director of the program.
Wow. And your work is phenomenal. I've seen you in action, and it's just, you're able to create an excitement and get these women engaged. I've seen your skills in that, and it's hats off to you for doing such an excellent job. And so tell me a little bit about the programming that is involved. I know there's so many options. What's going on recently?
Well, we do 2 big workshops a year that are multi-course events. It's a 3-day weekend. Women get to choose 4 different classes to attend throughout the course of that weekend. And then there's all the fun and games that you've been a part of in the past, evening programs, fashion shows. We give away guns and fly rods and stuff to through a raffle to raise money for our scholarship fund. But then we also do a whole host of other things, like maybe just a one-day event. We've got a Learn to Hunt Pheasants with Dogs coming up on May 4th in the Mead Wildlife area. We're doing a 2-day Learn to Fish for Dinner program right here in Stevens Point on Mother's Day weekend. So if somebody wants to treat themselves to a Mother's Day outing, or grab their mother and aunt and grandma and all go out on the boats, we're taking folks right out on the Wisconsin River to fish and teaching from the ground up. You mentioned we are worldwide. We do some international trips. They're a little more exotic. We've got a group right now in Tanzania, Africa, on photo safari. So yeah, a whole host of things. And the idea is to offer something for everybody, a broad range of outdoor activities at different price points, because not everybody, including me, can afford to go to Africa at this point. But those day-long events where you can go and try something with minimal investment, don't need any equipment, don't need any experience. You don't need to be a certain age. 18 to 83 was our oldest participant in Wisconsin. So there's something for everyone.
Well, I know you have a summer workshop and then a winter one, and some of these courses that you provide are really, it's hard to find anywhere else. Like, I know a couple of them that I've seen in the past were dog sledding and sewing with fur and trapping, and there's really a lot of excitement around those type of activities, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Those are some of our winter classes at the Winter Bow Workshop, which actually draws people from all over the country. So particularly people from southern states think that it's somehow exotic to come up to crazy Wisconsin and walk across the ice and then drill a hole in it. And this year, a lady from Georgia had called and said, now I'm going to come up there for that winter program. I want to do that. What do you call that when they put a hole in the ice to get fish? Well, you call that ice fishing. So yeah, it is a lot of fun.
Well, I remember teaching those classes, and boy, I mean, our goal when I was teaching is make sure every one of those gals caught a fish, and I think we did it just about every time, and it's the excitement that they have, and they're so positive and so upbeat about it, and it was just a joy to participate in, and it's one of those things where you look around and absolutely everybody's having a good time. And I've known a lot of people that have taken classes and kind of first got involved in some of their outdoor experiences by going to some type of bow workshop. And then they kind of fall in love with that activity, whether it be fishing or hunting or trapping or some of the other things. And then they pursue it further on their own because they know that they already really like it. So, I know a lot of the stuff is like an introductory level. Is there any that are more advanced for some of the activities?
We haven't branched out into doing much advanced stuff because we're still finding that there's a big need for that introductory level. We try to refer people to places where they can go get more experience, like Wisconsin Women Fish, your programs. I always tell people about that. If we had a little more money and a little more people power, we could go conquer the world, but we focus on adult women beginners because that's pretty much all we can tackle at this point. But I think there's a need for more opportunities for women to take the next step. We give them all those rudimentary skills that they need and the confidence to take the next step. But as far as programming that provides that next step, unfortunately, we're not able to offer that right now.
So do the classes vary state by state, or is it pretty much it's the same class only in a different location?
Yeah, so the format of those 3-day workshops that we talked about with multi-courses are equally divided between 1/3 shooting and hunting, 1/3 fishing, and then the other third is whatever, wildlife photography, camping, canoeing, kayaking, dogs like Stella. You always got to get dogs involved somehow because dogs are just the best. So that's the basic format, and that holds true all across North America. However, certain states will tailor their courses to be able to fit whatever their landscape is. For example, they might do an elk hunting course in Colorado or some sort of marine ecology and harvesting, mussels and clams out on the East Coast. So there is a variation from state to state, but that basic 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 holds true. What's interesting is that sometimes we get people who come and only want to do those non-harvest kind of courses, and halfway through the workshop, they might be sitting down at dinner on Saturday night around a table with a bunch of women who were out at the shotgun range, and they're talking about what gauge of shotgun they shot and how many clays they hit, or somebody comes in and has a photo of the walleye that they caught, and the person who thought maybe they were only there for wildflower identification and birding says, wow, look at these other women who are like me, and they're trying these things that I never thought I'd like to do. I'm curious now. And then they come back and they try those things. So it's cool to see people sort of think outside what they think they are and almost become a new person sometimes as a result of their participation in bow.
I tell you, I've seen that over and over again, and it's been true even in my own life. And, one of the taglines that we talk about all the time is, if she can do it, I can do it. And these things that you never even thought that you could do, but if you see a peer doing it, it's like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And that just holds true over and over again. And hats off to the bow program, because I know that you're lighting so many sparks in people. And one of the things I was talking about, is people taking advantage of opportunities that present themselves. And that's one thing about the bow program. It's always there. You can always find a place relatively close to you. And I feel it's the number one starting point for women to take that first step in pursuing some of this adventure, whether it be hunting, fishing, or some of the other stuff. And there's so many options that, you're not kind of stuck with just one thing. If hunting doesn't appeal to you, there'll still be plenty of other classes or activities to take. You don't even have to participate in any of those hunting activities. So I just think it's a great program. I'm glad to see that it's still going strong. And, I know with you behind the helm here, it'll just stay top notch.
I try. There is a little bit of irony in the amount of time spent in this office with the wooden sign hanging outside the door saying becoming an outdoors woman, and the email and the Facebooking and the computer time. But that's what it takes to bring it all to fruition. And then when you get to the workshop and you see those faces light up and people stepping outside their comfort zone and walking away with the woohoo, I can do this thing, that's super rewarding. And so I'm just really fortunate to be in this job. But it's really the instructors and the participants themselves that make it so magic. I just kind of get everybody together in one spot, and then they all do their thing, and it becomes beautiful.
Well, that being said, is there a need for instructors in some of these people that are skilled out there that I know, so many skilled people that hunt and fish, and maybe there's a way for some of those people to get involved as mentors or instructors. What would be the process for that if a listener wanted to volunteer for that type of thing?
We are always looking for new folks in the program and happy to have volunteers, so they can just contact me either by phone or email. If you just Google Wisconsin Bow, you'll get the Wisconsin Bow webpage, and my contact information is on there. It's usually just a matter of a phone call, and I've been doing this long enough that within 2 or 3 minutes, I can tell whether or not the person is a good fit for the program, and I can explain the program to them so they can decide themselves whether they're a good fit. And then usually we like to see people come and observe at a workshop first, maybe help out teach a little bit. And then from there, if they're interested in taking a class and it seems like it's a good, or teaching a class, if it seems like it's a good thing, then you're on board. We'll put you to work.
It's awesome. And what's nice about it is it's a way to become involved and share your knowledge, but there's not a huge time commitment. It's 1 or 2 weekends a year, and you have well in advance notice, and you can plan, and I just think it's a great opportunity. And there's so many people now that have started years ago, and now they're super skilled. I mean, I'm a novice hunter, and I've learned so much just from hanging out with a couple of my friends who are hunters, and I'm going to kind of shake the tree over there in my network and see if we can't get some of these gals to kind of pick it up a notch and help out by sharing their skills for becoming an instructor for you. I think there's a lot of people, if they know that there's a need for that.
Oh, that would be fabulous. Go shake that tree. We really love having female role models. Having said that, we do have a 50-50 male-female instructor ratio because we like to show women that there are a lot of good guys out there doing this stuff. And so if they're, passionate about what they do and they love sharing it, those are the two most important things. Sometimes the expert isn't necessarily the best teacher because they can be a little intimidating or maybe forget to teach at that introductory level. But anybody, male or female, who enjoys teaching and has something about the outdoors that they love to share, we'd like to have you on board.
Well, I tell you, I've met a couple of the male instructors when I was teaching for you, and we're still good friends. I talk to Daryl Tolliver all the time, and, it's having these people to network within your own circle and yet come together and share this knowledge with boys. It was one of the most rewarding things I've did, and it's just I really have to give it a lot of credit for launching me to where I am today. And I'll go back to what you said before, how the irony of sitting in this office with that becoming an outdoor woman sign out there, because people think I'm fishing all the time. And I'm like, if you only knew how little I get to go, and when you do, you just make it that much more appreciated. But there is a lot of behind the scenes work. I know how much work you put into this stuff because I get it, and hats off to you. And I want to thank you for all the people that have gone through this program. It's everywhere you go, people know about it. It's a kind of a household name. Everyone's heard of it. And we've gotten so many women that, I learned about you through the bow program, or, this or that. And so just to have it come from one conference at the University of Wisconsin, Stevens Point, to be a worldwide thing now. I mean, that's kind of goosebumpy. And I'm sure you feel this too, that we get paid in goosebumps.
Yeah, excellent. That's a good way to put it. I'm going to co-opt that line from you.
It is, because sometimes just 1 or 2 women stepping out of their comfort zone and participating, it ends up changing their life. And I see it over and over again. And, they walk out of those conferences and these workshops about a foot taller than they walked in. And it's so good to see. And, Peggy, thank you so much for talking to me today. I'm going to, in our show notes for the show, we'll put all the contacts for the website and how to get a hold of you. And I really encourage people, even if you're in another state, not Wisconsin, Peggy can connect you with the right contact people in your states. And, I encourage you to kind of step up and volunteer 1 weekend a year or 2 weekends a year to really help them out, because maybe some woman will look at you then and say, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. And it'll change their life. So, Peggy, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. This has been really fun.
And we'll be back next week with another show.